Hello, my friends, and welcome to Time Between Times storytelling with me, Owen Staton. Welcome once again to this place where tales are traditionally told. Welcome to this place where you can be safe among friends. Welcome to this place where all your worries, all your cares, all your strife vanishes as you wash away on a tide of traditional tales. Welcome to the Time Between Times. And here I am today telling a tale wearing my Time Between Times t-shirt. Available in the link below. But enough selling of t-shirts, although they are rather nice, and many other things. Let us sit back. Let us relax. Let us let our minds empty of all those things that cause us worry. And let us relax at the time between times. The time when it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. The time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. So thin that for just a few moments we can reach into their realm. And for a few moments they can reach into ours. Now is the time that people see lights in the sky. Now is the time that people see ghosts. Now is the time of the Tylwyth Teg. And the Tylwyth Teg are not the fairies we see today, but rather those wicked, mischievous, capricious creatures. Those that would swap a baby and replace with a changeling. Those that can make you go to sleep like that and not wake for 100 years. But today is not their tale. Today is a tale of a great king, the only king in Great Britain who has the badge Great. Today we tell a tale of Alfred the Great. But remember, let us get ourselves into the right headspace. Let's clear our mind of worries. Let's take the winding path down through the forest till we come to the fire pit at the heart of the woodland glen. There we look around and we see friends. Both the sun and the moon are in the sky, and we know that it is now the time between times, the time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. Let us go all the way back to the 8th, 9th century, where England was at war with the Northmen, who travelled across the sea and settled in the northeast of that great land, if I could even say it. And there they did battle with all the kings of England, defeating them one after the other and moving their steady, slow way across the country. There they came into Wales, there they came into Ireland. But there they came up against King Alfred, a sickly man who was neither big nor strong, but wise beyond measure. He brought an army to fight against the Northmen, and they won battle after battle. Richard has gone. Anyway, they strove across the land, bringing out their blades, their shields. They sang their songs of glory as they fought against the Northmen. But Alfred's army was thin and small and few in number. So they would hide in the forests and marshes and hills and woodlands of the land they knew well. And this tale happened in one such time, where after a great victory, Alfred knew that another Danish army was hot on his heels, so he ordered his men to disperse into the land, to forage and find food. Very quickly, he managed to get away with a small party, but they soon got separated. When almost surrounded by the Northmen, they headed into a forest. It was the time between times, when Alfred looked around and suddenly the forest was full of mist and fog, and he found himself alone, there, deep among the trees. After searching and calling for his men, he found a small hut, deep in the heart of the forest. He tied up his horse not far away, and tired and full of mud, his royal clothes splattered and ripped and torn, he knocked at the door of this hut deep in the heart of the forest. And there a woman answered. She looked him up and down, and could tell just by his very visage that he was someone who needed food, that he was someone who needed rest, he was someone who needed shelter, but she did not know who he was. "Ah, a traveller, here in the forest." "I am," he replied. "Come in, you are welcome. I am a cowherd and I live here alone, but you are welcome to take shelter at my fire, to sleep outside in the cowshed. You are welcome to get dry and warm. Come on through." Alfred ducked under the lintel of the small house, made his way across the straw-covered floor, and sat by the fireplace, feeling the flames warm his very soul. He huddled his cloak around him. "Do you have any food for me, a weary traveller?" "I soon will," said the woman, "but first I have to tend to the cattle. But we will dine on my return. I have just placed some cakes there to be cooked. Cakes we will both enjoy, and there is enough for both of us. But I ask you, sir, while you get dry, while you get warm, did you look after the cakes?" "But I will do that," said Alfred, and the lady walked out, closed the door with a creak. The king pulled his cloak around him, warmed his hands by the fire, looked at the cakes. Made from bread. They looked hard and beautiful and very appealing. The smell wafted into the room, but he knew he could not eat them yet. But then suddenly, the memories of the battle of yesterday flooded into his mind. The visions of night after night, sleeping under the stars, in rain, in snow, in wind, in hail. The terrors of all the things that had happened to him and his people over the last few months as they battled the Northmen flooded into his very soul, and Alfred, became distracted. Alfred, like myself, started to think of other things, his mind wandering where it should have been at that one place. At one point he waited, and all he could see was his men falling by the blades of the Danes. All he could see was his army fleeing. All he could see was further victories that he had achieved. Nights of being hungry. The next thing, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around. The woman had returned. "You may be a weary traveller, but you have burnt the cakes. But you, sir, have taken hospitality in my house. You, sir, have asked for my shelter. You have asked for my kindness. And I ask one task of you, and yet you have let the cakes burn. But I am Alfred, King of England." He stood up. His shadow filled the room, and the woman looked him right in the eyes, said, "Sir, you may be King of England, but here you are my guest. And tonight, because of your distracted nature, we will both go hungry." Alfred apologized, sat down, and thought long and hard about the lesson he could learn from this. For here he was, although he could not see it at the time, at a great moment in history. And yet, all he had to do in that moment was stop the cakes from burning. And yet, distracted as he was, that's the one thing that happened. So, my friends, what can we learn from this? Well, what we can learn is no matter where we are and what we are doing, to be in the now is the most important thing of all. To not worry about tomorrow or dwell on what happened yesterday, but to sit back and care about what we are doing right now. The tales of Alfred are many. Another happened in the place called Athelney, where on the verge of victory against the Danes, he was visited by an angel, a ghost, a spirit that claimed to be the Virgin Mary. So taken back was he by this blinding light that appeared to him and congratulated him on his victory, that he took his finest brooch from his clothes and threw it to the ground in offering before going away, knowing that he had done a great thing. A strange tale indeed, and one we would have put down to perhaps an overinflated ego, but many years ago, the 17th century, a farmer was digging his field in Athelney, and as he dug deep, he found a precious brooch, which is now in a great museum. Did it belong to Alfred the Great? Who knows? But I would like to think so. I would like to think so indeed. My friends, thanks for gathering with me at the time between times. Thank you so much for joining me and spending time with me on this day. And I hope that for just a few moments you have been able to lose yourself in this story, brief though it was. Please like and subscribe the video. Please share it with your friends. Follow me on Twitter at Owen S. Griffiths. If you want to buy me a coffee, coffee.com/Owenstaton, you would be most welcome. And if you wish to join me with a fashionable t-shirt, you would be very, very welcome indeed. Take care, my friends. The world may be harsh, but here we find joy. Take care. No stop.